The stars above Earth dimmed, not because of clouds, not because of nightfall, but because something massive had entered orbit, something that didn't belong. No one on the surface could see it with the naked eye, but radio astronomers, satellite, techs, and deep space surveillance systems were the first to die in silence. The Concord fleet had arrived, 40 capital ships, hundreds of war cruisers, black-hulled like sharks in the void, cloaked by gravitational lensing and distortion fields. They cut Earth's satellite grid into fragments without a single shot fired. All comms blacked out in under 7 minutes. At Stratcom in Colorado, General Mavis Singh stood motionless as monitor after monitor turned to static. Red alert lights painted the command room in a war glow as data feeds flickered, struggled, and then disappeared altogether. "They're not testing our response," Singh muttered, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're executing a first strike doctrine, Mum," a lieutenant called, hunched over a surviving local network feed. His uniform was stained with sweat and ash. "We've lost eyes in orbit. Infrared says there's movement above the equator. Large masses, stationary. They're not falling. They're watching." Singh's jaw tightened. "How many assets do we have left online? Low-orbit drones are offline. We've still got to classify ground-based lasers for black site, bunkers under manual control, and, one obsolete radio array in Siberia. That's it." Singh took a breath. Not fear. Calculation. She was not a woman easily broken. Her skin was weathered, her uniform old. But her eyes had fire. "Then that's what we'll use. All of it. Pull every allied protocol. Prep all orbital weapons and get me the damn Siberians on the radio." The Concord didn't announce themselves. No message, no demand, no ultimatum. They didn't think they needed one. Above the Earth, in the command throne of the lead Concord dreadnought Ellie Tharnell, Admiral Rethine examined the silent blue world. Through the visor of his helm, primitive, he thought. Beautiful, yes, like a forest untouched by flame. But beautiful things often needed pruning. A second voice echoed in his mind, relayed by the neurochorus of the ship's AI. "Target species has no planetary defense net. Interstellar communications crippled. Ground forces below sub-tier efficiency." And resistance, Rethine asked. "Scattered. Disorganized." "Feral." The Admiral's lips curled. "Begin the purge protocol." In the silence of space, hundreds of dropships detached from the Concord fleet, smooth, black ovals of death, descending through Earth's clouds like falling blades. In Delhi, alarm screamed as the sky turned black. In Munich, a Concord lander vaporized a civilian airport before anyone could evacuate. In Sao Paulo, one brave pilot managed to launch a fighter jet and was annihilated midair by a Concord drone swarm that moved like liquid metal through the sky. The invasion had begun, not with a march of armies, but with surgical extermination. But something happened the Concord hadn't anticipated. Humanity didn't run. At a ruined air base in Poland, Commander Elias Cade stood on the cracked tarmac, staring up at the black dropships cutting through the sky. His squad, only 12 soldiers left, many wounded, were reloading everything they had. Shotguns, rail rifles, Molotovs. "We hold here," he said. One soldier coughed blood. "Sir, against that?" "Yes, against that." "Why?" Cade looked up again. His voice was quiet, but every soldier heard it. "Because they think we're done, and that's their first mistake." The village of Białka, once a quiet Polish farming town, was now a smoldering war zone. The fields that once grew wheat were torn apart by orbital shockwaves. Trees were burning. Bodies lay scattered in silence. Soldiers, civilians, the old and the young, but on the southern ridge, dug into the mud and reinforced with salvaged steel. Commander Elias Cade and his unit held the line. There were only 12 of them. No artillery, no drones, barely any working comms. Just old rifles, scavenged grenades. A captured Concord plasma rifle that overheated after for shots and human will. Contacts incoming. Barked Corporal Dana, pointing to the tree line. Shadows moved with unnatural grace. Concord ground troops. Tall, angular, draped in reflective armor that shimmered in the sunlight like liquid crystal. Cade adjusted his helmet. "Steady. Wait for them to cross the marker." The marker was a broken flagpole buried halfway in the dirt. 60 meters. The kill zone. The Concord soldiers advanced confidently. Scanning with motion detectors and atmospheric sensors, they expected primitives, scattered resistance, easily mopped up holdouts, asterisk they didn't expect the ground to erupt, asterisk 3 anti-personnel mines, handcrafted from decommissioned ordnance, tore through the first wave. Screams, high-pitched, alien, echoed across the hill. Asterisk K's unit opened fire. Asterisk bullets met armor. Plasma bolts streaked through the smoke. The Concord fired back with precision beams, searing through rock and steel, melting barricades, slicing a soldier named Marco clean in half. Asterisk, but the humans didn't flinch. Asterisk they fought like cornered wolves. Each second they held bought time for another evacuation convoy headed west. They weren't fighting to survive. They were fighting so others could, asterisk one by one. The Concord fell, asterisk not because they were weak, but because they underestimated. The one thing they couldn't measure with sensors, asterisk human desperation, asterisk across the globe. Similar scenes unfolded, asterisk, in the mountains of Afghanistan. Tribes that had once warred with each other now fought side by side, planting IEDs with unmatched cunning. In Tokyo, our ED engineers reactivated decommissioned mechs, long thought useless, and marched them through burning streets. In Lagos, teenagers armed with drone kits hijacked Concord frequencies, sending false coordinates and baiting orbital strikes into empty zones. Asterisk Earth was bleeding. Asterisk, but it was not surrendering. Asterisk at NORAD, deep beneath the Rockies, General Mava Singh was reviewing the updated casualty numbers. Over 70 million dead in the first 24 hours. Major cities burned. Communications unstable. Military commands scattered. Asterisk still. Her eyes didn't waver. Asterisk initiate Operation Emberline. She ordered. Asterisk her. Staff froze. Asterisk, but MAM Emberline is a scorched earth protocol. That means total resource denial. Asterisk Singh nodded. Exactly. If they want Earth, they'll inherit ash. Begin withdrawal of all salvageable assets. Destroy everything else. Food supplies, fuel depots, clean water lines. If we can't hold it, we deny it. Asterisk a long silence followed. Asterisk one officer whispered. They think we're a prey species. Asterisk Singh didn't smile. Then let's show them what it looks like when prey turns predator. High above Earth, in the command core of the Elitharnal, Admiral Rethian studied the incoming reports with increasing frustration. Asterisk 14 fire teams neutralized within the same region? This planet has no central military force. How is this possible? Asterisk a Concord tactician floated beside him, his neural implants pulsing. They don't follow standard strategic logic. These humans are scattered, emotional, wild. Asterisk undisciplined. Rethian spat. Asterisk perhaps, the tactician admitted, but unpredictably effective. Asterisk the Admiral turned toward the galactic projection. Earth shimmered below like a wounded animal refusing to die. Asterisk we calculated a 94% chance of surrender after orbital blackout. We were wrong. Asterisk he stepped closer to the viewport. I'd have faced hive worlds, industrial juggernauts, and even starborn bioweapons, all of them folded when crushed. But these humans, asterisk he paused. Asterisk, they are not collapsing. They are coalescing. Asterisk the tactician's eyes widened slightly. Asterisk Rethian continued. This isn't a war for them. It's a declaration. They're not fighting for territory. They're fighting because we came here. Asterisk a silence lingered between them. Asterisk and Admiral, the tactician said, almost reluctantly. One more thing, there's chatter we can't trace. Something the humans keep repeating. Asterisk Rethian raised an eyebrow. What is it? Asterisk the tactician hesitated. They say, only one species fights to the last breath. Asterisk Rethian stared. Asterisk he had heard many war cries in his centuries of conquest. Asterisk, but this one didn't feel like a cry. Asterisk it felt like a promise. Asterisk the third day of the invasion saw the fall of Sydney, Cape Town, and Montreal. Concord ground control believed Earth was now 65% neutralized. Asterisk, but that 35%? Asterisk that was where the real war was. Asterisk in the ruins of Johannesburg. Human resistance leaders had turned sewer systems into command bunkers. Children worked as spotters. Grandmothers carried bullets. There was no civilian anymore. Only survivors. Asterisk at a destroyed highway overpass in Brazil. A lone tank operated by a blind veteran, and his grandson held an entire Concord armored. Platoon at bay for 6 hours. When it was over, the wreckage was so thick the enemy couldn't move their hovercraft forward. Asterisk in orbit. Concord strategists called it statistical anomaly clusters. Asterisk on the ground. It was something else. Asterisk it was human spirit. At 042 UTC, deep within a bunker under the Sierra Nevada mountains, a group of Earth's last strategic minds gathered around a dusty map table. The mood was bleak, but not broken. General Mavis Singh stood at the head of the room, face shadowed by the flickering emergency lights. Her voice, however, was razor sharp. "We're not here to win. Not yet," she said, pointing to red-marked zones on the map. Concord held territories. "We're here to burn everything they think they've claimed." The plan was madness, and that was exactly why it would work. Operation Emberline had entered Phase 2, guerrilla sabotage. On a planetary scale, every supply line they lost, booby-trapped, every evacuated base, rigged to blow, every captured city, infested with underground kill cells, sleeper units, and remote drones hiding in wreckage. In a single 24-hour window, the Concord suffered more than 3,000 losses across what they believed were secured zones. They didn't understand it. They didn't see any formations, no chain of command, no strategic map, but the truth was simpler and far more terrifying. Every human alive had become a soldier. In the remains of Shanghai, a teenage girl climbed into the broken vent shaft of a Concord power node with a stolen thermal charge strapped to her chest. She smiled as she lit the fuse. In Alaska, native hunters used sled dogs and old rifles to lure Concord troops into ravines, where avalanche bombs awaited. In Paris, resistance fighters hijacked a Concord artillery mech and marched it through the Champs-Élysées, singing old war songs as they rained fire on the enemy. The Concord began to panic. Their commanders called for retreat and consolidation. Their engineers complained that humans fought with non-rational persistence. Their scientists tried to model the madness and failed, because it was a madness. It was memory. Earth had bled before, through ice ages, plagues, empires, genocides, global wars, and every time humanity adapted, endured, and came back sharper. This time would be no different. Admiral Rethine watched the live feed of one such resistance ambush. 30 Concord soldiers, elite black-cloaked warcasters, cut down by improvised flame traps and a human woman with a bow and arrow. He slammed his fist into the control panel, sparks flaring. "They are not a species," he hissed. "They are a wildfire." By the 10th day, the Concord fleet had begun full evacuation protocols from 3 sectors on Earth's surface. It was unprecedented. No species in galactic history had ever forced a Concord withdrawal before, but Earth wasn't following history. It was writing its own. In a ruined crater outside what had once been Mexico City, Commander Elias K. lay beside his final squad member, a young woman named Leon, bleeding, breathing, surrounded. The last of their ammunition was gone. Only blades remained. From the ridge, Concord soldiers approached, slowly this time, cautiously. They had learned fear. "You still with me?" Kate asked, voice barely audible. Leon coughed. "Long enough to see you stab someone." He chuckled. "Then let's make it count." They rose together, limping, gripping steel and shattered weapons, and screamed as they charged. They didn't make it 5 meters, but before the Concord could fire, the ridge exploded. A human artillery barrage, off target, uncoordinated, but furious, rained down like God's own thunder. Through the smoke emerged dozens of humans, war-painted, armored in scrap metal and rage. A fresh cell from Guadalajara. Reinforcements. Cade, barely conscious, smiled. They came. All across the globe, a new chant was rising, over radios, in trenches, scribbled in blood on walls, painted on downed drones. Greater than only one species fights to the last breath. And the Concord, they finally understood. This wasn't just resistance. This was retribution. This was the moment Earth proved that what made it dangerous wasn't its weapons, or its numbers, or its technology. It was its refusal. Its refusal to kneel. To give up. To accept death when even a second of life remained. In orbit, as the burning fleet of the Ellie-Thornal prepared to retreat, Admiral Rethine stood alone in the command deck. He stared at Earth, battered, blackened, still burning, and felt something no Concord leader had ever felt before. Respect. And just a trace of fear. "They are not done," he said quietly. A voice behind him asked, "Shall we prepare for round 2? Rethine's eyes remained fixed on the blue planet below. No. He replied, they will prepare it. We will survive it. Only one species fights to the last breath.